Airlines are banking on your ignorance to rob you blind. Every single day, over 4,000 suitcases vanish into thin air, leaving passengers stranded and frustrated. When your bag disappears, the carrier will likely try to hand you a measly $400 voucher, all while hiding the fact that the legal liability limit is actually $3,800. Think your packing habits are safe? If you stack your soaps like a wall, the security scanner sees a terrorist with a bomb. Did you leave a tiny sticker from last year's vacation on the handle? Your luggage is probably already on a one-way trip to Mexico while you are landing in Maine. The system is rigged to favor the corporation, not the traveler. Stop. Here are the 12 rules you need to survive this logistical minefield and keep your money in your pocket. Here is Rule 1 of 12. Over 4,000 bags are mishandled every single day in the United States alone. Matthew, a 28-year-old graphic designer from Charlotte, learned this the hard way. He arrived at Charlotte Douglas International, or CLT, with a suitcase covered in colorful barcode stickers from past adventures to Austin, Seattle, and Las Vegas. He thought they were badges of honor. In reality, those stickers are a death sentence for your luggage. Modern sorting systems are incredibly fast, processing miles of conveyor belts at speeds of up to 20 miles per hour. When Matthew's bag hit the high-speed laser scanner at CLT, the machine caught a faded 2023 Austin tag instead of his current flight info. In a split second, a mechanical arm swiped his bag onto the wrong track. The airline won't tell you this, but their high-tech hubs are easily confused by old data. Matthew landed in Orlando for his cousin's wedding, but his bag was halfway to Texas. The fix is simple and takes 10 seconds. Strip your bag completely clean after every trip. Look for the tiny ID stickers that gate agents often hide on the sides or bottom of the suitcase. They are banking on your laziness, but those small remnants cause 60% of sorting errors. Removing them doesn't guarantee a perfect arrival, but it kills the routing ghost that haunts the conveyor belts. Matthew got his bag back 4 days later, long after the wedding was over. You just saved your luggage from a detour, but that is nothing compared to the $600 you lose when Rule 2, the liquid brick trigger, hits you at the security checkpoint. Moving to Rule 2 of 12. You must unpack your toiletry bag immediately if you want to stay out of the interrogation room. Picture this. Sarah, a 41-year-old real estate agent, was standing in the security line at Miami International, or MIA, at 8:15 a.m. on a busy Tuesday. She was already stressed about her closing meeting. Then her carry-on stopped dead inside the X-ray machine. The belt didn't move an inch. The TSA agent stared at the monitor and whispered into his radio. Sarah's heart raced. The system banks on your ignorance of how X-rays work. By stacking her solid soap, thick toothpaste, and heavy lotions in a tight vertical pile, Sarah accidentally created what agents call a density brick. To a high-tech scanner, a dense stack of organic materials looks exactly like a block of plastic explosives. Security does not take chances. You are no longer a passenger. You are a potential threat. A guard pointed toward a private screening room, and the crowd started staring. Here is the fix for a fast transit. Spread your toiletries across the top layer of your bag in a flat, horizontal layout. Never stack them. If you have solid soaps or thick creams, place them side by side so the X-ray can see the edges of every bottle. If the machine cannot see through the mass, it triggers a manual search that can take 30 minutes or more. Sarah spent nearly an hour in a sterile room, while experts swabbed her shampoo for residue. She missed her flight and had to pay a $200 change fee. Reality check. Agents are just following safety protocols to keep the skies safe. They aren't trying to ruin your vacation, but a poorly packed bag forces their hand. Pack flat and fly fast. Sarah lost her seat and her morning. but that is a minor headache compared to the absolute financial warfare we cover in Rule 3. Rule 3 of 12 is about the hidden tech trap. James, a 53-year-old financial advisor from Denver, arrived at Denver International, or DEN, dragging a sleek, matte black smart suitcase he bought for $500. It was a masterpiece of engineering, with a built-in scale, GPS tracking, and a massive lithium-ion battery to charge his laptop. He felt like he was traveling in the year 3000, until the gate agent for his flight to San Francisco, or SFO, stopped him. The agent didn't care about the GPS or the fancy scale. She pointed at the glowing battery light. "You cannot check that bag," she said firmly. James felt the frustration boiling over, because he was already running late for boarding. He tried explaining that the battery was integrated into the frame, but that was exactly why he was in trouble. The airline won't tell you this until you are standing at the scale, but if that lithium battery isn't removable, your expensive suitcase is a paperweight. FAA rules are incredibly strict because those batteries can undergo thermal runaway, catching fire in the cargo hold where no one can put it out. Stop. Here is the fix you need before you buy new gear. If you use a smart bag, ensure the battery pops out with a single click. Most agents at Denver or any other hub will let you carry the battery into the cabin, but the bag itself must be battery-free to go under the plane. James had to scramble, nearly missing his flight while trying to pry the plastic casing open with his car keys. Reality check. Airlines aren't trying to steal your technology. They are trying to prevent a mid-air emergency. High-tech luggage often leads to a low-tech headache. James made his flight, but his suitcase was left behind in a security bin. That is a minor loss compared to the absolute chaos of financial warfare and proof of ownership, which we are tackling next. This brings us to Secret 4 of 12. Did you know the airline considers your $2,000 designer suitcase and everything inside it worth about as much as a stack of old newspapers? They use a loophole called limited liability to pay you the bare minimum if things go wrong. Olivia, a 32-year-old lawyer, was flying home from Atlanta, or ATL, when the unthinkable happened. Her bag vanished without a trace. At the baggage claim desk, the agent didn't offer an apology. They offered a settlement based on weight. It was pennies per pound. For her $500 designer heels, they offered $10. It is a total insult to your hard work. The system is rigged because they bank on you having zero proof of what was actually inside the bag. They profit from your lack of evidence. But here is the 1-minute fix they hope you never discover. Before you leave for the airport, open your bag on your bed. Film every single item with your smartphone. Lay out the electronics, the shoes, and even the receipts if you have them. Keep the video rolling as you zip the bag shut and drop it at the counter. If your gear goes missing, you aren't just another faceless claim form. You have high-definition evidence. Under U.S. Department of Transportation rules, airlines are liable for up to $3,800 per passenger for lost or damaged luggage on domestic flights. Without that video, you are at their mercy. When Olivia showed her phone to the supervisor, the tone of the conversation changed instantly. Reality check. A video doesn't mean you get an instant check at the counter, but it makes it impossible for them to lowball you during the claims process. Olivia got her full reimbursement because she stood her ground with proof. You have protected your gear, but your trip is still at risk if you fall for the voucher scam in Rule 5. Rule 5 of 12 exposes the voucher trap. Airlines are banking on your ignorance to save themselves millions of dollars every single year. Most passengers believe that if a carrier destroys their bag on a domestic flight, they are lucky to get a $500 travel voucher. That is a complete scam designed to protect their bottom line. The Department of Transportation actually sets the maximum liability limit at a staggering $3,800 per passenger. Take Robert, a 47-year-old chef from Boston. While waiting at Logan International, or BOS, he watched as a baggage handler accidentally dropped his heavy equipment case off a moving cart. His suitcase looked like it had been run over by a tank. His specialized knives and sensors were crushed. The gate agent offered him a $400 travel voucher and a half-hearted shrug. Robert was livid because his gear was worth 5 times that amount. The airline stayed silent about the $3,800 federal limit, just like they always do. This is where they try to screw you over. Stop. Here is the fix you must remember. Never, under any circumstances, accept the first offer or a travel voucher. Demand a formal claim form immediately. Under DOT rules, carriers must compensate you for the fair market value of your items up to that $3,800 cap. You do not need to be a legal expert, you just need to be firm and cite the federal limit. Robert refused the voucher, cited the DOT regulations, and eventually forced the airline to cut a check for the full value of his equipment. Reality check. This is not an instant payday. It usually takes weeks of paperwork and persistent follow-up emails. But $3,800 is far too much money to leave on the table just because you were tired at the airport. Subscribe to beat the corporate system. But even a huge check won't save you if you miss Rule 6, the baggage fee refund secret. Rule 6 of 12. You need to check your baggage receipt before you even think about leaving the airport. You paid for a specific service, and the airline failed to deliver on their end of the contract. Imagine Chloe, a 25-year-old student, standing by an empty conveyor belt at London Heathrow, or LHR. Her flight landed on time, but her suitcase was nowhere to be found. The airline won't tell you this, but that $35 or $60 fee you paid to check your bag is a legal contract. When Chloe approached the service counter, the agent just told her to wait and see. They are banking on your exhaustion. Stop. Do not just file a missing bag report and walk away. Here is the fix that puts money back in your pocket. In many cases, if your bag is delayed significantly, you can request a full refund of your checked baggage fee. Most major carriers have internal policies hidden in the fine print that allow for this. Chloe didn't just ask where her bag was. She calmly stated that since the service wasn't provided, she wanted her fee refunded. The agent sighed, but since the request was valid, they processed a credit. It won't find your clothes any faster, but it stops the airline from profiting off their own failure. Reality check. A short 30-minute delay usually won't trigger a refund. Most airlines require a delay of 12 to 24 hours for this policy to kick in. Chloe got her money back, and her bag was delivered to her dorm the next morning. They profit when you stay silent, but you win when you know the rules. Getting cash back is simple, but it is nothing compared to the physical chaos you face when your luggage literally falls apart. That is why you need Rule 7, the hard-shell plastic warning. Here is Rule 7 of 12. Daniel stood at the baggage carousel in Munich, or MUC, watching the belt clank and groan as it delivered the first round of luggage. He had just finished a high-stakes photography project and was ready for a rest, trusting his sleek, obsidian hard-shell suitcase to keep his cameras safe. When it finally emerged, his disappointment was immediate. A jagged crack ran right through the center of the plastic shell, wide enough to see his sweaters inside. He had spent nearly $400 on what the salesperson called a fortress for his gear. He was wrong. Under the massive 500 pounds of pressure in a crowded cargo hold, these trendy, glossy cases can shatter like a dropped light bulb. Airlines bank on your ignorance when they see you buying these brittle plastics. While they look premium in social media photos, many are made from cheap ABS plastic that becomes dangerously fragile in the cold temperatures of a plane's belly. Here's the fix for a durable journey. If you want a bag that actually survives the gauntlet, stick to high-denier ballistic nylon or specialized soft-sided bags. These fabrics are designed to flex and absorb the impact of being tossed onto a 15-foot conveyor pile. If you absolutely must have the hard shell look, you have to verify the material is 100% virgin polycarbonate, not a cheap blend. This specific material bends under pressure rather than snapping. Daniel stood there, fumbling with his phone to file a claim, only to find that the airline's liability for cosmetic damage is often zero. He was left with a broken case and a $50 voucher for his trouble. Cheap seat, expensive mistake. Daniel's cracked suitcase was a tough lesson in gear, but even the best bag won't help you with the looming chaos of Rule 8. Rule 8 of 12. Have you ever wondered how a suitcase worth $3,000 simply vanishes into thin air without a trace? It happens more often than you think. Sophia, a 58-year-old dentist, learned this the hard way at Phoenix Sky Harbor, or PHX. She checked her premium hard-shell bag at 4:30 p.m., feeling confident because of the expensive leather ID tag hanging from the handle. But behind the scenes, the airport is a mechanical jungle. Conveyor belts move at high speeds, and those dangling external tags are essentially bait for the heavy machinery. Sophia's leather tag snagged on a metal sorter arm. Snap. Just like that, her identity was stripped from her property. The airline won't tell you this, but once that external tag is gone, your bag becomes a John Doe in a massive warehouse. Sophia stood at the carousel for 2 hours, watching the belt go round and round. She felt completely helpless. Here is the fix that takes 5 seconds. Always place a second form of ID inside your luggage. Slip a business card or a simple piece of paper with your phone number right on top of your clothes. If the external tag is ripped off by a machine, the ground crew is authorized to open the bag to look for owner information. It is a simple move that saves you weeks of filing paperwork. They hope you don't know this rule because it is much easier for them to auction off unclaimed bags at the end of the year. Your bag is not their priority. Sophia eventually got her bag back, but only after 3 weeks of intense stress and dozens of phone calls. But even a perfect tag won't save you from the logistical mess of Rule 9. Moving to Rule 9 of 12. Over 20 million pieces of luggage are mishandled every single year across the globe. That is roughly 1 bag lost every few seconds. Most travelers assume a lost suitcase is the result of a massive computer failure, but the truth is often much smaller. It is usually just an inch of sticky residue. Ethan, a 31-year-old marketing specialist, arrived at New York's JFK airport thinking he was fully prepared. He had peeled off the barcode stickers from his last trip to London, but a tacky square of gray glue remained on his hard-shell case. The airline won't tell you this, but that tiny patch of adhesive is a magnet for disaster. As his bag tumbled down the conveyor belts at JFK, the sticky spot acted like flypaper. It snatched up a stray tag from another passenger's bag and a clump of black lint. By the time it reached the automated laser scanner, the machine was blind. The laser could not read the correct destination because of the logistical glue mess. The system is rigged against dirty luggage. Here is the fix to ensure your bag stays on track. Never just peel and pray. Use rubbing alcohol or a dedicated adhesive remover to strip that residue completely. You need to clear the surface until it is perfectly smooth to the touch. Ethan eventually got his bag back 3 days late, but his vacation was already dampened by the delay. He learned the hard way that sticky bags stay behind in the sorting room. But a clean suitcase won't help you when the chaos of tight connections hits you in Rule 10. Rule 10 of 12. You must check your watch before you book that tight connection. Isabella, a 44-year-old accountant, thought 45 minutes at Los Angeles International, or LAX, was plenty of time to sprint from Terminal 4 to the International Terminal. She ran through the halls, dodging crowds, and barely slid through the boarding doors as they were closing. She made the flight, but her suitcase did not. While she was catching her breath in seat 12B, her suitcase was still sitting on a motorized tug on the tarmac 3 terminals away. She was wrong to trust the itinerary. Here is the hard truth. You can run, but your 50 pounds checked bag cannot. Luggage handlers have to scan, sort, and transport thousands of bags across miles of subterranean conveyor belts. At a massive hub like LAX, a 45-minute window is a death sentence for your luggage. The system is rigged because airlines sell these tickets knowing the minimum connection time is technically legal, even if it is physically impossible for the ground crew to keep up during peak hours. They profit from the booking, and you lose your belongings. Stop gambling with your gear. A 45-minute layover might be enough for a person, but it is almost never enough for a bag to make the jump between planes. Experts suggest 90 minutes for domestic and at least 3 hours for international layovers if you have checked bags. If you must book a tight one, pack a change of clothes in your carry-on and drop an AirTag in your suitcase. This way, if you land in Maui and your bag is still in California, you aren't standing at the carousel like a ghost. Isabella spent 2 days in Hawaii wearing her heavy travel leggings because she trusted the 45-minute window. Tight layovers lead to long delays, but even a tracked bag won't help you if you fail the 21-day test in Rule 11. Rule 11 of 12. Michael, a 62-year-old journalist, stood by the silent luggage carousel at Paris Charles de Gaulle, or CDG, watching the last few suitcases circle like lonely ghosts. His bag was nowhere to be found. The agent at the desk gave him a rehearsed smile and a tracking number, calling the bag delayed. But there is a massive catch the airline won't tell you. They use the word delayed as a shield to keep their money in their pockets. As long as your bag is just late, they might only cover the bare essentials like a toothbrush. Michael felt the frustration boiling over as he realized he had nothing but his coat for a week-long assignment. Here is the truth you need to use as leverage. Under international regulations, a bag is only considered delayed for the first 21 days. Once that 22nd day hits, the legal definition shifts from delayed to lost. This is where the entire game changes for the passenger. Once it is officially lost, you can often claim much higher compensation for the total value of your belongings. They are banking on your ignorance, because most people give up after a week of hearing we are still looking for it. Don't fall for it. Keep every single receipt for the items you had to buy while waiting. Reality check. Don't expect a check for $3,000 to arrive overnight. You will need extensive documentation and a lot of patience to navigate their corporate bureaucracy. But knowing that 21-day limit gives you the power to stop being ignored by the customer service bots. Michael eventually got his payout, but only because he knew when to stop asking and start demanding based on the calendar. The clock is ticking on your claim. They profit when you forget, but you win when you track the days. Knowing the rules is one thing, but Rule 12 is the final gatekeeper for your luggage's safety. Rule 12 of 12. Have you ever wondered why some suitcases glide through the airport system, while others seemingly vanish into a black hole of manual sorting? Grayson, a 45-year-old mechanical engineer, thought he had everything figured out at Portland International, or PDX. His suitcase weighed 53 pounds, just 3 pounds over the standard limit, and he had loose bungee cords wrapped around the handle for what he thought was extra security. Grayson watched his bag disappear behind the rubber flaps at check-in, confident he would see it in Chicago. Here is the reality of the modern airport. Systems today use high-speed AI scanners that measure dimensions and weight in milliseconds. If a bag is too heavy or has a weird physical profile like Grayson's dangling cords, the system triggers an immediate rejection. The belt physically kicks the bag into a side lane known as manual sorting. This is where bags go to die. In manual sorting, your luggage waits for a human handler who might be overwhelmed with hundreds of other rejected bags. To avoid this trap, keep your bag under 50 pounds and ensure every strap is tucked, zipped, or taped down. Grayson's bag sat in a cold basement in Portland while his plane took off. It did not arrive for 3 days because it missed the automated window. Being smart about your gear means you control the journey. Always use a digital luggage scale at home before you leave for the airport. If you don't know these rules, the airport will take your money and your time every single trip. The airlines hate that you now have this insider knowledge. Hit subscribe to keep winning against the system and travel like a pro.